Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
Whoa, we still got something on our face. Oh man, this is bad. This is a bad intro. This whole episode is awful. It's horrible. Everything going on is a bad time. And that's to recap game one. That's a beautiful way to start this. It's a beautiful way to start this intro. Game one of the semifinals just finished off. Obviously, I'm a little late. There's been a lot of technical issues today. There's been a lot of things going on up and down. It's a very stormy day in Chicago, and obviously, if you're from the city, you understand that. But with that being said, we're going to talk about the Connecticut Sun and the Chicago Sky's game one upset. It wasn't the only upset of the day. Sue Bird, Brianna Stewart, and the Seattle Storm upset Kelsey Plum, Becky Hammond, and the Las Vegas Aces as well. I believe that game was 76 or 73, if I'm not mistaken. The Chicago Sky lost 68-63 in an upset. It's a way to start this episode, and whatever's going on with the StreamYard today and the Discord and everything else going on. We have a tiny screen. I don't understand what's going on, but that's kind of the theme of this episode is I don't understand what's going on. I don't know what happened last night with the Chicago Sky. It was a very unfortunate loss for game one, but it's definitely a game, you look at and you understand, this is what this team is. And we understand who the Sky are. And sometimes I feel like, and we don't have any post-game interviews today, but I do want to pick the brain of Coach James Wade in a couple of days, and we will be able to do that pre-game and post-game, hopefully. But, it's a conversation I want to have about, this team, especially in a series. I feel like they take game one as kind of just getting their feet wet, getting an understanding and an idea of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. I heard James Wade in the post-game interviews and him talking about, them just playing their style of basketball, them being the Connecticut Sun. And that's exactly what happened. The Chicago Sky lose this game despite Candace Parker finding the fountain of youth, had 18 rebounds and 19 points. I mean, it was just an outstanding game from her. The backcourt, it was a lackluster day for the backcourt for Allie Quigley and both Courtney Vandersloot. The bench got outscored for one of the first times against Connecticut this year. Azrae Stevens had a lot to say about that, and we do have a pregame interview with her and Rebecca Gardner. But that even looks weird right now because I don't know what's going on with StreamYard, but bear with me. Please bear with me if you guys are still listening and still tuning in. I truly appreciate you guys always being here and always checking out Skytown. So, it's a blast to be here despite the loss today. We do have some things to talk about. But first, I want to talk about the box score just to kind of give everybody who didn't watch the game an understanding of really where everything went wrong. We're going to start with the Connecticut Sun. Jones had 12, 0, and 9 and 26. Bonner had 15, 5, and 9 and 34. Thomas 12, 7, and 10. Almost had a triple-double in 33. Williams had 6, 2, and 9 and 28. Heidman had 5, 4, and 2 and 23. Jones had 12, 3, and 3 and 28. Sims had 4, 1, and 4 and 17. And Carrington had 2, 1, and 1 and 11. And where that doesn't particularly scream, amazing stats. Obviously they only produced 68 points, which obviously both sides are better than that. Offensively, both sides are better than that, but they're both very defensive heavy first teams. So that's exactly what you expect. But from the Chicago Sky standpoint, this is where things kind of get a little lackluster. You only have three players, in double figures. And that is an anomaly of what this season has been. Usually you're getting 4 at minimum, 5 at slightest, and you're looking at people who can even have 7 at a time of players in double figures in this rotation. And I love every minute of that, but that was definitely felt today. They definitely played their style of basketball. They played a more slow paced, and that's kind of, not their MO, and Azrae said it perfectly. Z said it perfectly in her post game. They were dribbling the ball a little bit more than they should have. They were trying to force plays that really weren't there, and they should have taken the first open look, the second open look, and they kind of forced the ball around. And that's not typically their style. They're very, they gun it and they get people open, they produce plays, and they make things happen. And they really weren't doing that from that standpoint. And you look at Candace Parker leading the team, 19, 5, and 18 I said that right. 19, 5, and 18 in 35 minutes with 5 steals and 5 blocks. I mean, what an amazing game. She had 5 fives, I guess is how you can look at it. She had over 5 points, over 5 assists, over 5 steals, blocks, and rebounds. So congratulations to CP3. She is the fountain of youth, and she is putting this team on her back. Kalia Copper, 13, 1, and 3 and 32. Emma had 10, 7, and 3 and 32. Allie Quigley had 7, 1, and 2 and 32. Sloot had 5, 2, and 3 and 30. Azare Stevens had 2, 1, and 4 and 14. Rebecca Gardner 4, 1, and 2 and 16. And Julie had 3, 2, and 1 and 10. Julie had a huge dagger, though. I'm going to give her flowers. Julie had an amazing 3, damn near from half court, I would say. That was a good 40-footer for me. So, it was dope to see her really get in her comfort zone and be trusted with that, especially when the game was as tight as it was. And I think, they had a rough start in the first quarter, and that was where things all kind of started. And we've seen that kind of narrative throughout this season at times. I think a lot of the time, we're sitting here and we're having this conversation with not only ourselves, but, throughout the league is, the sky can defeat anybody, but it all matters about that first quarter. When they come in hot, they shut teams out more times than not by half, or at latest by the end of the third. And that's the reality of the situation. And I think right now with the Chicago Sky, the way they're moving and the way they need to continue to balance this. And I've spoken with a couple players on the team privately about it, is, kind of just understanding, game one and kind of similarly to compare it to the first quarter of regular season games, is getting a feel for what's going on, getting an understanding of, okay, this is what we did wrong. This is what we need to do. We need to get back to our roots and understand who we are and who we want to be and how we want to play. And once they do that, they're going to be perfectly fine. We saw that in game one of the first round against Sabrina Ionescu. They kind of came out of their comfort zone. They didn't play their style of basketball. They need to run up the board. They need to play fast, but also play strategically. They didn't have a lot of floor generals out there last night, and that was one of the biggest things. CP was out there rebounding for her life, trying to give them a shot, and I loved it. This is what separates a good player from a great player, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but one of the greats, not even a great player, one of the greats, Candace Parker, after her loss last night, stays on the court and watches Connecticut celebrate, and it made me smile. It made me laugh even. I was having such a serious conversation with my buddy about it. I was like, game 2 is going to be fucking insane. And normally I don't swear on here, but it is. And I could see that on her face that she was pissed off. And she's going to reiterate that and express that to her teammates, who we all know they're all pissed off. They're all upset by this. But they use that as fuel. And I love every minute of that. Ka uses that as fuel. Emma, Azare, everybody top to bottom uses that as fuel. Allie, Sloot, Rebecca, James Wade, everybody from top to bottom. So I love every minute of that. And it made me smile because I was like, damn, that's going to be one of those moments. I remember Stephon Diggs did that after the Chiefs beat them, and he had one of his best seasons after that year. So, it's definitely a conversation to look at them and understand, we talk about this all the time. The playoffs are 2 separate seasons. The regular season and the playoffs are 2 different seasons as a whole, and you have to respect every team that's a part of it. The New York Liberty could even get a game in. That's the reality of the situation. The Las Vegas Aces, who have the coach of the year and the best record in the WNBA, just got pieced by Breanna Stewart, Sue Bird, and Tina Charles. Like, that's what happens. You know what I mean? Like, and is that going to determine the series? No, it's only one game. But one of the biggest things right now is you have to understand that just because we swept Connecticut this year in 4 games and we won the last 2 playoff games against them straight. So we're 6-0 against Connecticut going into game 1. And now we're 6-1. Technically we're 4-1 on the year. You can't take that into account that we're 6-0, and you can't take that into account that we even swept them, because, you look at last year, they were one of the best teams in the league, and we came in as a 500 team and annihilated them and went to the finals. And that's one of the big conversations that we need to have right now is the humbling experience of this. And I kind of had a question with Rebecca Gardner and Azare Stevens about that. And we kind of just break it down to what they need to do to be able to win this series and what they need to do to be able to come back and fight back. We got a comment here from Football Productions. What's your favorite college? For baseball, I'm a Tennessee Volunteers fan. For football, I am a Clemson Tigers fan. So that's all I got for that. Basketball, UNC. I'm all over the place. I'm not too dedicated anywhere. Always rooting for Northwestern. Shout out my dog, Ryan Helinski. He did amazing work yesterday. He's a good friend of mine, and I always love to see him succeed. He definitely deserves all the praise in the world for everything he's endured in life and all the work he's put in. But with that being said, we're going to get into it. Here's our interview with Azare Stevens and Rebecca Gardner. We're going to have back-to-back interviews, kind of just talking about this is not post game, this is pre game to what they need to do to be able to compete with Connecticut and really the way they need to move about it as a whole.
Hughes from ASAP.
Hey Z, when you look at the matchup between Connecticut, obviously, the postseason is a totally different season in itself. But in your last 6 games, you're 6-0 against Connecticut. When you looked at that matchup versus Dallas, were you preferring to play Connecticut just because it's a familiar face and you know them?
Yeah, I mean, I personally was. I think that it's just a really good matchup. We know them really well. But I think either way, like it was going to be a tough series for us, just because we're in the semis now and everybody's going to be playing, harder. Connecticut's been here, so they have more experience than Dallas, and they know us really well. And like I said, like at the end of the day, like it's just going to be who wants it more, like there's not a lot of like stuff strategy wise I feel like is really going to make a difference. It's just really like who's bringing the most effort that night.
Rebecca, and to kind of piggyback off that, congrats on making the all-rookie team. I know you and I joked about it very early on in the season. You went from, not being on the scouting report to being on the scouting report, to kind of have that transition to now being on the scouting report and, being a 6th player of the year candidate and even being on the all-rookie team. Can you kind of speak on into words like what this season means for you?
And honestly, sometimes it seems like it's not real, like how well that it's gone. So honestly, I feel like I couldn't ask for a better rookie season. I couldn't ask for better teammates and a better coaching staff. And I'm just honestly, I'm just really happy with how everything has gone. And not only that I was able to make it onto a team, but to play like have an actual role and contribute to such a great team. So I'm just really filled with joy having this opportunity.
And it's one of those things. Shout out Rebecca Gardner on making all rookie team. She definitely deserves it. She's a 6th player of the year candidate, as is Azurá Stevens. Congrats to her as well. I'm being acknowledged for that. And it's a conversation, though. Z even said it in post game. It's whoever wants it more. There's not a clear dynamic of who can win this series. It's really not going to come down to a matchup or, a strategic game set minded plan that Coach James Wade can draw up. Now, obviously, he's coach of the year, executive of the year. Becky Hammon is coach of the year. But, he's also one of the best coaches in this league, and he can definitely draw up some plays to give them an advantage without a doubt. But at the end of the day, Connecticut is so talented, and throughout their history in recent years, they are championship minded. They are championship caliber. They have the pedigree. They have everything. They're definitely over here, and they're definitely ready to win and bounce back. Especially, I think Z said it perfectly. They gave them something to fight for last year when we bounced them. That being the Sky. When they took them out, it's definitely something. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you want to bounce back and clap back this year, and then to go 0-4 against them after, losing it 0-2, going into last year's playoffs, it's definitely upsetting, and you get swept during the regular season this year. So I think they came in ready to fight. They came in ready to play. They forced the Sky to play their style of basketball, and that was one of the biggest things about it. And I think, going into game 2, it's allowing yourself to be who you want to be, and who you want to be. And I know that's easier said than done, but and that's kind of a very vague statement, like an obvious statement, but it's really that simple. It's just playing your style of basketball, being who you are set out to be. I think that's everything. So we're not going to think too deep into this. Obviously, when we win, we'll go on for 30 minutes talking about how great we are. And when we lose, it'll be a 15-minute episode. But really, truly, the reason today's episode is so much shorter is because you can see it around the screen. I don't know what's going on with Discord or StreamYard today, but y'all need to fix this. I don't know why I'm in this tiny little screen. I don't know why our interviews are so tiny. They look like I'm showing it on a cell phone. It's awful. It's awful. But I truly apologize. Today's episode wasn't the best quality. Today's episode is all over the place because of the weather, because of everything else going on, because of the StreamYard. And I truly do apologize for that. But just like the Chicago Sky, we are going to bounce back for game 2. It's going to be an amazing time. I hope to see you guys there. But before I get out of here and before we recap this episode, I do want to say Friday, please, if you can, if you're not too busy, we're going to be doing a live stream all day helping out After School Matters, an amazing program in Chicago that helps kids in, you know, all types of neighborhoods, all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, that to really just give them an opportunity to succeed. We're going to have a lot of players on there, such as Patrick Wisdom, Brennan Davis, Cole Franklin, James Triantos, Liam Spence, and a bunch of other Chicago Cubs. We have Kevin Lopka, Rob Scott, and a bunch of other guests, Carolina Teague. It's just going to be a great time. We're going to have a great conversation. We're going to be raising money for, you know, an amazing cause that, you know, I've spent some time with, you know, in my days in public school. And, you know, After School Matters is not only important for the city of Chicago, but it's important for the future of the world. And that's not me overstating it. That is a legitimate opinion I have, is, you know, it all starts with the youth, and it all starts with, you know, letting them know that they matter and they have a voice, and they can be whoever they set out to be. And there's not a set standard just because of where you come from. And I think, you know, that's one of the beautiful things about what we're doing here and what we're able to do. So if you guys can tune into that on Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time, definitely check it out. We're going to be doing a live stream all day on After School Matters. With that being said, this is Mike Hughes from Mike on the Mic in Skytown. If you want to check out more Skytown episodes, you definitely can on all streaming platforms. You can go on Mike on the Mic YouTube, go under playlist Skytown, and you can find every post-game interview, every single box score, everything you guys are looking for. So with that being said, this is Mike Hughes from Mike on the Mic. Peace.